Due to the obscene and ridiculous nature of this podcast, listener discretion is strongly advised.
The other day I had diarrhea so intense and violent that I lost my voice. You might be wondering how diarrhea can cause one to lose their voice, but if you had diarrhea like I did, you'd understand. I was screaming and crying and throwing up in pain. There was so much pressure built up inside of me. The poop was so hot, it felt like I was spraying boiling oil out of my dumper. Then, when the hot slop hit the toilet water, it created a ton of steam which then burned my tender thighs and empty scrotal bag. My bag is empty because I donated my nards a few years ago. There is a charity that's like Locks of Love, but instead of donating your hair, you can donate your nards and peener. I kept my PP for now, but I'll probably donate it at some point. I don't like it or use it much, and now it's all burnt up from the diarrhea steam. The skin is flaking and peeling off, and it hurts and itches all the time. I can't sleep. I'm allergic to every known painkiller, so I just lie in bed weeping. Anyway, Vital Elements hooked me up with this incredible voice machine thing that I'm using now, and this is a commercial for that. It's called the Voice Rejoice, and you don't even have to type anything out to use it. You simply insert the wired suppository into your wet little anus, and it has special sensors that can tell what you're thinking by the way your colon quivers. It turns those vibrations into text, which is then read aloud by a voice of your choosing. There are a ton of different voices to pick from. I picked this one because I think it's really hot, so when I'm by myself, I make it say really adult, nude things, and it feels good. Come on, you all know what I'm talking about, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I highly recommend running to Ace Hardware and getting yourself one or more of the new Voice Rejoice units that Vital Elements has so kindly brought to market. You won't regret it. Also, if you or somebody you know wants to buy my penis, please contact the Secret Society of Fly Tires and we can arrange the sale. The more I think about it, the less I want this thing. I might as well get rid of it now if I can.
Secret Society of Fly Tires. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Secret Society of Fly Tigers? What in the fuck is that?
I'm sick of this phony baloney.
The Secret Society of Fly Tires, the Secret Society of Fly Tires podcast, the best podcast about fly tying.
I finally did it. I put together an episode on the West Coast steelhead paradise that is the Olympic Peninsula. Well, more like an episode about Forks, Washington, I guess, and the fish that live there. But that is the major destination in mind for steelheaders that may listen to this show anyway. Forks holds a special place in my heart, and it always will, because it was the first major fishing trip that I ever booked out of state. It's also the trip that really sunk the steelhead chasing illness into my bloodstream.
We got a bleeder!
I couldn't be more pleased to have Jim Kerr from Rain Coast Guides on the program today to yap about his guide service and the years of experience he has putting anglers on giant salmon and steelhead and everything else that swims around those parts. It's gonna be cool. It was cool. I just edited the interview so I can say that with certainty. Will this monologue measure up to how good the interview is, though? Only time will tell. I obviously set a high bar for myself. I'm the only one in charge here. I'm the CEO, supervisor, sales team, support staff, and the on-air talent. Well, I guess the Worm is really in charge of the sales team around here, and he's doing a bang-up job. If you enjoy relentless jokes, sponsored ads about bodily fluids, then the Worm is maybe the best sales guy in the biz.
And a 14% increase in positive consumer vibes.
I hope that all 200 of you are enjoying me burning every possible advertising bridge that could possibly come my way, and turning off many potential guests from ever responding to my advances. It's the only way that I operate. The laughs that I share with the Worm are far more valuable to me than whatever amount of money that ZipRecruiter or Audible could pay me to hawk their goods. And they won't do that anyway. I am too dangerous.
You mean stupid?
Is that how I should start advertising this dumb show? The most dangerous podcast in the fly fishing industry? Look out, everyone.
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
A true rebel is coming through.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
And who needs sponsors when I have such generous listeners anyway? Just this week, I've received over $33,000 in tax-free donations via my Buy Me a Coffee link. You didn't know that I had one? Weird. I've been telling you all that you'll get a special shout-out on the show, preserving your place in podcast history forever if you too make a nominal donation.
Donations continue to come in at this hour, and if you haven't donated already, there is still time.
This week's Silver Platinum private tier subscribers that donated over $2,500 each will be friends of the show in perpetuity. Have I said that word on every episode of this season? Probably. Strangely enough, the first three are all medical professionals this time around who obviously have expendable income to invest in projects that they believe in. You don't have to donate thousands of dollars all at once. I'm totally okay with you sending that to me in installments. Without further delay, I would like to send my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Carmine Element, Dr. Rachel Pigment, Dr. Elizabeth Breath, and then a few other people who aren't doctors like Gregory Gum, Scote Smith, Spike Cool, Gravy Caliber, and Carol Armbone. A huge thank you to all of you for rising to the top of my sea of fans. The funds that you donated will most likely result in even funnier cum jokes to lighten the mood of the very serious fly fishing and fly tying community. Maybe someday this show will be raking in enough dough for me to retire from government service. I've been at the Bureau of Odors, Stinks, and Aromas for a couple weeks now, and it's great and all, but even someone as smelly as I am gets bothered by the constant assault of noxious fumes. So I've been looking around for new opportunities and may have found the perfect job for me at the newly reorged Federal Department of Excess Skin. It makes sense for me in my current state of actively fattening up. I blame quitting cigarettes and the daily ice cream along with my swollen prostate and poor circulation if we're going to get real for a minute here. It should set me up nicely to join the excess skin department though, because before I get hired I can lose all the extra weight and assimilate naturally with my new office mates. Look, it's crucial that you appreciate these jokes, okay? Because I'm going to hammer you with the same ones all season long. It's the theme of the season. Wait, no it's not. The theme is supposed to be me getting overtly sexual to the point that you all get uncomfortable listening to me. My bad. That whole idea should work out in my favor too, because if no one listens, then there's no more podcast work for me to do. We both win in that scenario, I think. You're no longer embarrassed by your taste in entertainment, and I can go back to relentlessly reading about how there's no way our recorded history is true and how Hollywood is run by an ancient Saturn-worshipping cult. Yeah, I said Saturn, not Satan. Satan is so last year. It's the black cube of Saturn that you want to look into. Do you dare slither into the same back alleys of the internet that I do? Yes? Well, then you already know what I'm talking about. If not, fucking get to studying, sheeple.
The black cube stands as an enigma, its dark simplicity both alluring and unsettling. This geometric form has captivated mystics and occultists for centuries, becoming a focal point for those who seek to understand hidden forces. At the heart of this fascination lies the cult of the black cube, a loose affiliation of individuals drawn to the worship of Saturn. Saturn, with its prominent rings and distant orbit, has long been associated with time, death, and the cyclical nature of existence.
You've probably never even heard of the race of people without heads whose faces were on their chests. What have you been doing online? Looking at nude people having intercourse? Sure, that's cool. In fact, it's really cool. But you just aren't informed. So let me share what I've learned about this race of marginalized people.
The Blemai represented the mysterious and the otherworldly, challenging conventional notions of human form and existence. As mythological creatures, they embody the intersection between reality and the supernatural.
Various species of mythical headless men were rumored, in antiquity and later, to inhabit remote parts of the world. They are variously known as Akephaloi, which is Greek for headless ones, or Blemais, and were described as lacking a head with their facial features on their chest. These were at first described as inhabitants of ancient Libya or the Nile system. Later traditions confirmed their habitat to be a particular island in the Brisone River or India. Blemais are said to occur in two types, with eyes on their chest or with eyes on their shoulders. The actual tribe known as the Blemmies were said to be named eponymously after King Blemis. I wonder why though. Was he also headless? You could probably say that every king is headless if you ask me. I bow to no one, especially if they don't have a functional head. The famous beer guy, Pliny the Elder, in the book Natural History, reported the Blemmyes tribe of North Africa as having, quote, no heads, and their mouths and eyes being seated in their breasts. Great, now I'm horny. But I will fight my sexual urges and continue the story because I'm a responsible and highly professional broadcaster. Pliny situates the Blemmyes people somewhere in Ethiopia, in or in the neighboring lands to Nubia. I bet they all migrated to my great state of California, where you don't even need a head to get by.
Have you ever wondered how long you can survive without your head?
Headless men also appear in several Asian legends. Breast-eyed races. Man, this is a horny segment. But it's just from Wikipedia, okay? Not from Pornhub, I swear. The boob-eyed people were recurrent in the Zoroastrian scriptures, such as the Bundaishan, the Jamis Nabag, and the Dronkt J. Asurig. I don't even know what those things mean, but that's okay. You probably don't either, so we're even. Men with eyes in their chests are mentioned in Ibn Wasif Shah's Digest of Wonders also, in the anonymous Book of Curiosities, and by other medieval Islamic writings. They also appear in the Syriac, the marvels found in the great cities, and on the Piri Reis map. You know I love that map. It's the same one that I talked about last season about the magnetic rock that makes everyone's compasses work. Do you think that you could fight someone with a face on their chest? If their face is on their chest, where do their nipples go? Do they even have nipples? If they don't have nipples, how do they nurse their young? If they have eyes where their boobs would be, where do their boobs go? Or do they have plump, ample eyes that may run up to a size double D or larger?
Those are great questions, Marty.
I'm here to ask the hard-hitting questions every episode. I'm really into eyes, okay? I have 16 eyes tattooed on my body so far. My brother Jerry has 40, so combined we have 56 eyes tattooed on us. How about you? How many eyes do you have tattooed on your body forever? Count all of your eye tattoos and tell me how many you have. I think long and hard about the tattoos that I get, okay? And I'm not even going to make a boner joke there, even though I said long and hard. You can do that on your own.
But women don't know all about men. They don't know nothing about boners.
For example, my good buddy Phil dared me to tattoo his face on me, and I went and had that done the same day. I showed up for work the next morning to share it with him and our coworkers. It's just a simple drawing of his face, and I'm hoping that you could help me figure out a way to doctor it up. I thought about adding clown makeup to it, or altering it to make him look like a woman, or just adding a speech bubble coming out of the mouth of my Phil tattoo and making him say something highly offensive, like a horrible racial slur.
Wait, what'd you say?
This was all to embarrass and shame him, okay? Not me.
What?
I thought that would be a great idea for a minute, and then sort of daydreamed my appointment where I went in to tell the tattoo artist what I wanted to get tattooed on me as a joke on my friend, and in that daydream, no one that I explained the joke to thought it was a good thing to do. And I tried to explain it to anyone in the shop that would listen. They got tired of my explanations and grabbed me by the back of my shirt and tossed me into the street, as they should have done to me in my dreams. So anyways, I'll show you the tattoo in the trailer for this episode, and if one of you people have a better idea, maybe I'll end up getting it tattooed. No promises, except that I promise to consider it. How's that for encouraging engagement with my loyal listeners? I'm giving you the opportunity to influence a permanent thing to be scratched into my skin, and all you have to do is leave me a funny comment. Look at me finally applying all the marketing tactics that I picked up in the podcaster's manual. Okay, I'm 3 pages into this monologue, so I should probably start talking about my guest and the very fishy town of Forks out on the Olympic Peninsula. I've blabbed about nonsense long enough. My first fact about Forks, did you know that the movie Twilight was filmed there?
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
I'm not going any further into that. I don't even care if you like it. You can like whatever you want. In fact, my wife loves Twilight, and I often wish that I was a vampire, or at least had more similarities to vampires, so that maybe she would think that I'm more mysterious and cool. Being a vampire is a way cooler job than working for the Department of Excess Skin. My kids are under strict orders to never tell anyone that I work for the Excess Skin Department. I don't even technically work there yet, so what am I even saying right now? My children have been instructed to tell anyone who asks that their dad is a giant, strong, and very smart fireman. Definitely not a podcaster and definitely not a musician. Can you imagine if my children knew that a podcasting failed musician who ended up working for the government tricked a living human woman into creating them through sexual intercourse? If their school friends found out, they would never hear the end of it, unless those things made me and them very rich. Then I would command them to tell everyone that I'm a millionaire, all from the fart jokes I make on a fly tying talk show. Please excuse this brief interruption from our very generous sponsor, Vital Elements.
Forrest Gump was a real man, and he donated his body to science, and through methods that I dare not divulge, Vital Elements came into possession of his long penis, and it can be yours for a price. Next Saturday, Vital Elements will be holding an online auction where you can bid on the real Forrest Gump's penis. If you're rich enough and lucky enough, you can own this mythical meat wand and do whatever you want with it. I know exactly what I would do if I had Forrest Gump's penis, but I'm not going to be telling you because I don't want to go to prison. I'm so tired of being imprisoned. It's so boring. There's nothing to do except eat gruel and try not to die. The auction starts at 2 a.m. next Saturday and bidding starts at $69. You know, just for fun. You are bidding on a penis after all. To participate in the auction, just head on over to vitalelementsauction.org/fleshtube.cream and create an account and bid on Forrest Gump's very own dead penis.
Anyways, I don't think real vampires live in Forks, Washington. At least not anymore. At some point in time, I'm sure there were some vampires and dogmen and blem-eyes and mermaids all thriving on the Olympic Peninsula, living in harmony away from those of us with standard human characteristics. Forks does have a traffic jam of awesome rivers that on occasion are filled with anadromous fish, though. These fish are not an ideal food source for vampires, though, or any of the other mythical people I just mentioned previously. They know that they wouldn't be able to last very long feasting on the blood of salmon and steelhead, so they spread the word about the many angling opportunities available on their chunk of land, and humans full of delicious blood started piling in, only to be met with their own untimely death at the hands of Dracula, or whatever. It was all worth it to shake hands with a 15-pound wild steelhead, though, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, that is right. That might be the first true thing that I've said on this episode, and it's why people like us go to Forks. To get their waders and lines wet in the Solduck or the Hoe, the Bogachiel or the Kalwa, or maybe one of the rivers that people like me haven't earned the privilege of knowing about yet. If you love steelhead, that's something that you realize after doing this for a while. There are rivers that other anglers won't even talk about. How cool is that? I'm seriously not mad about it. It's a good thing. I'll earn it someday. Sometimes secrets are good, and as you'll learn in the interview coming up with Jim Kerr, I was kind of hesitant to even do an episode on the OP because people get bent about it. Forks is no secret. It gets a lot of pressure, and I do not want to contribute to more pressure being put on any waterways or fish. You're probably saying to yourself right now, this idiot liar has a podcast about fly tying and fly fishing. He's blowing up spots with every episode. That is true, but it's also not true. You gotta find the good spots yourself. I just give you the high-level overview mixed in with absolute nonsense. Plus, I kind of suck at both fly tying and fly fishing. I'm not the worst, but I'm not great by any means, so I'm learning along with all of you a lot of the time. And my guests will only tell you what they feel comfortable sharing. Some will be more forthright than others, and I love that. I barely talked about tying flies with Jim Kerr at all, but the nuggets he did share are great. We laughed a lot during our chat, and that is what I hoped for. There are plenty of serious fly fishing podcasts that you can pull up to get into the weeds about dry dropper rigs and tying up a perfect parachute Adams. I listen to a lot of those shows, but the goal of my show is to meet new friends, crack seaman jokes, and rip on myself and my listeners, and to try to get my guests to tell me paranormal stories. This isn't the show for details. Hire a guide like Jim and learn those details in the field, on the water. That's half the point of hiring a guide, right? It's a private class with an expert where you get a chance to apply what you've learned right away. My conversations with Jim and all the other guides that I've talked to are meant to pull back the curtain a little so you can act like a perverted peeping Tom, watching me undress and get all horned up to reel in a giant wet pig and feel comfortable forking over the cash to an actual Jedi-like expert. I mean, besides for giving them a bunch of money, you have to hang out with them all day, and they have to hang out with your smelly ass all day.
Hey everybody! I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.
Okay, I got way ahead of myself. I should probably back up a bit and provide a better overview of Forks in general and give you all some more info about Jim and Raincoast Guides. Let's start with what seems to be the official website of one of the wettest towns in the realm, ForksWashington.com. Forks, Washington is located in the heart of the Olympic Peninsula, between the Olympic Mountains and the Pacific Ocean beaches. Forks and the surrounding area provide you with an impressive array of recreational options as you explore the northwest corner of the Pacific Northwest. Forks is the rainiest town in the contiguous United States, with an average rainfall of 120 inches annually. The 2,000 square mile area is bordered on the north and west by over 100 miles of saltwater shores, and to the south and east by alpine meadows and rainforest valleys. Over 200 miles of wild rivers crisscross the region, providing healthy runs of native salmon and steelhead. Experience world-class attractions such as the Olympic National Park, Rialto Beach, the Hoh Rainforest, Kalaloch Beach, Lake Ozette, Cape Flattery in the northwest coast, Lake Crescent, Solduck Falls, and the many scenic rivers and mountain trails. Sounds about perfect, right? Except for the wet part. Unless we're getting horny again, in which case the wet part...
That's what she said.
Okay, I'll stop. Forks was previously known as the unincorporated town of Qiluhut. It is named after the forks in the nearby Bogachil, Kalawa, and Solduck rivers, which join to form the Qiluhut River. Wikipedia is telling me that as of 2020, there were 3,335 residents of Forks, and I got one of them on the horn just for you. And for me. Mostly for me, really, but I'm sharing with you because I like you.
I like you!
For most of its history, the economy of Forks was fueled by the timber industry. In fact, it was self-proclaimed as the logging capital of the world, but later became a tourism destination for visitors to the Olympic National Park, all the great fishing, and because of the Twilight movie. Do locals hate that movie, or do they love it? I didn't ask Jim, and I'm not going to go ask him now. The interview is done and edited. Anyhow, places change, okay? Maybe Forks is finally finding its true self. After all these years, maybe Forks has finally realized its real identity as a very wet vampire tourism hotspot with cool fish. I feel like I just came up with their new tagline. Maybe I'll run for office. Okay, that's enough jibber jabber. Let me introduce you to my guest. Jim Kerr has been fly fishing, river fishing, saltwater fishing, guiding, and working on the water his entire life. He's fly fished extensively in the northeast saltwater for striped bass and bluefish, in the Florida Keys and Everglades for snook, bonefish, tarpon, and redfish, and for salmon and steelhead and trout in the American West. He now resides on Washington's Olympic Peninsula, where he is a full-time fishing guide for steelhead, trout, and salmon. His Raincoast Guide service has been featured in Northwest Fly Fishing, Western Outdoors, and Fly Fishing and Tying Journal magazines, as well as Doug Rose's new book on fly fishing for winter steelhead. It's called The Color of Winter. Jim can also be seen from time to time on the Outdoor Network and Northwest Outdoors TV as a fly fishing guide for anglers such as Skip Morris and doing fly tying demonstrations of his original fly patterns. Here's a few words from Jim. Every trip that I fish is different, but my goals are always the same. Catch fish, have fun, relax, and enjoy pristine, natural, uncrowded surroundings. If there's something in particular that you want to learn about before we go fishing, let me know. Maybe good beaches for sea runs, how to cast farther, good presentations for winter steelhead, or hatch timing for peninsula streams. If you want me to just shut up and row the damn boat, I can do that too. I believe that fly fishing is, at its best, a vehicle for understanding the interconnectedness of natural systems. Trout fishermen must understand the life cycles of insects if they want to capitalize on every streamside opportunity. Winter steelhead anglers study the drainages they fish to help them predict ever-changing water levels and clarity. When we venture out of the rivers and into the salt, we realize that we have to follow the movements of bait fish, which are influenced by tides, currents, moon phases, and the availability of their prey, plankton, euphisids, barnacle spawn, and on it goes. If those words from Jim didn't already seal the deal, there are a whole bunch of great testimonials from people who've gone fishing with Jim on his website. Here's a quick one to sell him one last time. There are guides who will take you fishing, guides who tie the prettiest flies and cast the furthest. But if the measure of guide rests in the quality of one's experience, Jim wins every time. Jim always seems to adopt to my agenda as his own, whether it's learning new water, catching steelhead on dries, fine-tuning my fishing, or just having a great day on the water. Jim knows where to go and how to do it. He's the undisputed guru of Olympic Peninsula fly fishing. Sounds like a good dude to go fish with, right? I haven't even done that yet. I just had a blast getting to know him over Zoom. I hope you enjoy our chat. Jim, can you hear me?
Copy.
There we go.
You copy?
I copy.
Go ahead.
Hey, man.
How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Excellent.
Good, man. Appreciate you making time to do this again, man. I know, everybody's busy, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
I just got off work. I'm having a beer.
I want to know about that. So I don't know where you are.
Oh, I'm in Sacramento.
Right on.
Yeah. Not born and raised, but been here for most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Got a wife and 2 kids and a dog. Office job,
Yeah, I'm in the exact same situation, only in Forks, and I'm a guide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very close.
How old are your kids?
8 and 10. They're home on spring break right now, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We just got done with spring break. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Oh, man, you're just a little bit ahead of me. Yeah.
Any bit.
Dude, it's a wild day every day over here. Yes, you know.
I'm looking over to see how closely they're listening to.
Oh.
I will tell you, 10 and 12 is way better than 8 and 10 for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, so my daughter's the oldest, right?
Yeah. No, it's coming along cool. Things are getting super interesting.
Yeah, there's a dynamic there. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have 2 much older half sisters that I grew up with when I was young, but they were 8 and 10 years older. So by the time I was 10, they were poof out of the house.
Yeah. See, I grew up with 5 brothers and sisters. I'm one of 6. I'm second oldest, and they're all pretty 4 years apart, kind of.
Well, that's
pretty good. Big spread for sure. Yeah. So, I get the dynamics that are happening between them, the little things that you don't get if you're not a sibling, and it's like a lot of shitty things, a lot of shitty things they do to each other. Right. That I did too. I totally gave my little brothers hell. So,
yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you very much.
I was going to start with the basics, but since we've never met, but actually before we even get started with questions and stuff, can I read something from one of your fishing reports on your guide website from a few years ago?
Absolutely.
All right. I feel like it sums up steelhead in general pretty well. So here it goes. You know that feeling when you are so cold and so wet and so far back in the woods and tired and scratched up and not catching much, and then it starts to become really funny? No. Okay, then these trips are not for you. And that's okay, because there's plenty of more pleasant and much easier fishing out there. If you had to run a 5K in the rain through the woods right now, could you? I'm not asking if you want to or if you would, just could you get up right now and do it? No. Well, then you can be doubly sure that there's nothing in this post to interest you, because this is about cold, wet, dark, long, thick, rough, bad hiking to try and find one completely awesome backcountry wild steelhead. And I feel like it's extra true for the rivers that you guide on the OP Forks, in general, isn't the easiest place to get to. And I also love your posts because of the tone, almost convincing people to second guess making the trip and weeding out some folks and being funny in your pitch. So it's one of the main reasons I've been wanting to talk to you. And besides for all the fish and cool scenery that you post, So.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't weed anyone out.
Well, I guess I've only been up there one time, and I when I came up to fish the OP, I was so green and had kind of just caught the steelhead bug. So I would have been one of those guys oh hell yeah, I want to get in there, and been totally over my head. So I understand.
There are levels, right, of how easy you can make it, right?
Sure.
With a few fish around, you can make it pretty easy, pretty comfortable. And that's fine. And I enjoy that. There are levels. There are other things happening that are very much worth seeing, but require a lot more energy and patience and skill and tolerance but are entirely worth seeing. And I often get in a situation, I say, that's not true. I occasionally get in a situation where I get to a spot and there's fishing going on. And this isn't just winter steelhead fishing. We have 11 months of fishing here. and the fishing is really hard. And if you aren't really quite skilled and quite competent, it's probably going to yield a goose egg. It's probably not going to work at all. But it's really hard. But it's also the benefit, what you get from success is so epic that I think to myself, I'll be sitting there thinking, like, I don't know if there's anywhere else that you could have this opportunity in front of you without a helicopter.
Yeah.
Or at least a float plane, right? Like this thing is happening and there's these fish and you're in this spot and it's so challenging, but you're like, yeah. And for me, especially if I like to think of steelhead, winter steelhead, all steelhead, but winter steelhead as rainbow trout. And a lot of people like to get bent about that, but whatever. I like to think of them as rainbow trout. And I like to think, all right, like here's this really cool 17-pound wild rainbow trout in its native habitat. And I get a chance to cast at it. And like, where do you pin the value on that? Right? Like, how cool is that? And for me, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, right on, let's do this.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot to think about.
Yeah. All the things that you mentioned in that post that I read are things that make those fish that much cooler too, though, right? Like they make them that much more special. So if you can get through all that stuff and get there and then find one and get it. Then hell yeah. Yeah.
And you can.
Yeah.
You really can. Not that hard, but you have to be able to do all the stuff, right? Like you have to be in shape for it physically, right? Like, and there is easier fishing we have here, but there's some fishing we have here that like, yeah, if you can't run a 5K, it's not for you, right? If you can't do 20 squats, like, because there might be really deep wading, there might be really strong current, there might be giant slippery boulders. There's no getting, just like climbing a mountain with a mountain climbing guide, right? He's not climbing the mountain for you, So there's a mountain to climb and you actually have to climb it. You know what I mean? Like, and then we get there and you're here and the fish is over there. Well, then you have to cast from here to there. Right? Yeah. Like, there's no fixing that problem, right? Yeah. And I think unlike the fishing that lots of guided clients have become accustomed to, there may not be another one right around the bend, right? Like this is the one that you get to try and catch. And if your first cast sucks and you blow it,
don't fucking blow it.
Had a really amazing hike.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
totally.
that ball.
What birds? What birds did you see? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That mushroom.
Yeah, totally.
Good. Yeah.
So, well, okay. So let's back up a little bit because I don't think you're from the OP. How did you end up out there?
Entirely by accident. Mm-hmm. I grew up in New Jersey, in a somewhat coastal town where my family had a small farm. I stayed there through my first year of high school, then moved up to Vermont, where I finished high school. My dad was an avid fisherman. I fished with him everywhere, forever. We did when I was about 9, we did a Griswold family vacation to Florida in a rented RV. Mm-hmm. And I hooked a tarpon, casting from the docks behind the Turtle Crawls bar on a plug on a spinning rod while my parents were having cocktails. And it jumped right off. And I was like, well, that's cool. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So, fast forward, I graduated high school in Vermont and I got in my truck and I drove to Key Largo the day I graduated. And I had a bankroll. I had like $1,300. And I started working on trying to guide for tarpon for the rest of my life.
Just fucking went for it. Went hot for it.
Yep. All in.
Yeah.
And I bounced back and forth on that for about 3 years and maybe a little longer. Just didn't have the money at all. And that was when, to get clients, you had to get in the magazines and you had to know a lot of people. And
no social media.
Yeah, there was no social media. So I commercial fished and I worked in restaurants and I worked on scuba boats and whatever I could get. And I had got a boat and caught a lot of tarpon and bonefish and everything else, and had an awesome time.
I can hear ducks. Is there ducks coming up to you over there? Yeah, look at that. Oh, he stole something from you.
Yeah, luckily it's a tube fly, so there's no hook in.
Oh god. That's too funny. Look, hot pink. Yeah.
Oh god, no! Don't eat the whole thing. Hang on.
Yeah, it's emergency. Holy shit.
This one always chases me too. He's usually the easiest to catch.
Tables.
Hang on, I know how to fix this. Hang on one second. Yeah. Hey kids! Hey, I need your help. Come on out. See?
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, they'll fix that. Sorry.
It must have been a good one though. Like she fooled that duck good.
Oh, I see what I just did there.
Yeah, I was just making a joke that your fly fooled that duck real good.
Yeah. Hey, he dropped it. We're all good. Could you just pick up that, Nathan? Could you pick up that fly? There's no hook in it. The duck had it, but he dropped it. That's all, guys. Thank you.
He's like, oh, there is a hook in it.
So I went and thanks, bud.
Saved a life out there.
Yeah. So I went. What we do? We got to Florida. I fished a bunch. Wasn't ever gonna. I was $20,000 short. I learned a lot about outboard engine repair. And during that time, I did quite a few road trips, especially in the summer, and I met people guiding in other places, and trout guides in Utah and Colorado and Wyoming and Montana, and I did some couch surfing in general. And to make this as long as possible, I ended up getting a call from a really old friend of mine, family in Seattle. And he's like, dude, you should come out to the Olympic Peninsula for the salmon opener on June 1. And I was like, okay. So I put my crap in storage and drove to Forks from Big Pine Key, Florida.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, that's the ultimate diagonal across the country there.
Yeah, and a totally crapper Chevy pickup, 3 on the tree,
great.
9 yards. And I drove to Forks, and we set up camp at Three Rivers Campground, which is right over there, about 1.5 miles. Mm-hmm. And didn't catch anything, and it was really cold and rainy, but it was really cool. Everywhere I had traveled, as soon as I got there, it was like, you don't want to be here. It's played out. It's over. In the Florida, 25 years ago in the Florida Keys, they're like, it's played out, dude. It's over. You missed it. It was cool 15 years ago, but it's wrecked, and everywhere in Colorado and everywhere I went, it's wrecked, man. You don't want to be here. And I got here and they were all like, man, it's wrecked. You don't want to be here. It's no good. It's not worth it anymore. And I was like, dude, I essentially drove here from Maine.
Yeah.
This is it. I can't drive any farther. And so I ended up kind of living well off the grid for 6 or 7 years, trying to build a guide business. And it was super easy because at the time that I got here, there was Herb Jacobson, JD Love, and Bob Piggott. And those were your 3 options to fly guide. And about the time I started, within a couple of years, Herb Jacobson left, Bob Piggott quit, and JD Love started only guiding the winter, not the summer. So if you wanted a fly fishing guide on the Olympic Peninsula, I was it.
Yeah, shit. Like perfect
I was the guy.
Perfect timing, yeah.
And so I just thought the phone just, if I don't get this guy, I'll get the next. Yeah, man. So I did all that, and
so it was like a perfect storm.
And it just turned
like the timing of everything just kind of worked in your favor. Like as soon as you were kind of set up and ready to go.
No, yeah, it was dumb luck, and it worked like a champ.
You don't need social media.
So now, pardon me.
So you don't need no social media.
No, you didn't then, right?
Or an answering machine, apparently.
No. But I mean, also, I was pretty content living in a wall tent. You know what I mean? I was pretty comfortable living with absolutely no money. So if I didn't book, I could just go fishing from dark until dark.
Yeah.
And I was pretty stoked on ramen noodles and cream of mushroom soup. And, I didn't do myself any favors, but it gave me the ability to put in I would say a solid 7 years of fishing all the time, constantly, outside of a couple weeks during hunting season, and getting a solid idea how to make it work all the time.
Coming up with your program. Yeah.
Yeah. As they say.
In the biz. Yeah. So this is Rain Coast Guides. It's always been Rain Coast Guides.
No, it's been a bunch of things.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I was just Jim Kerr's guide service for a while. I was briefly Blue Heron guide service. There's another guy who's that now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a couple different ways I've done it, and I've worked for other guide services quite a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, and then it just became Rain Coast, and I think I've been Rain Coast for about 15 years.
Okay. And that's just you and Ryan Bullock?
Yeah, so
yeah,
it was me, and for a while we had 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 other folks helping. And then I want to say it's been Ryan punched me for not knowing for sure. I want to say it's been at least 12 years with Ryan, and kind of like I got tired of running a bunch of boats, and then Ryan showed up and made it unbelievably easy. And he is an enormously skilled guide and angler. And I was like, well, this is good enough. This is plenty.
Right on. So do you miss anything about guiding on the East Coast or in Florida? Like anything about or fishing there, or do you still go back there every once in a while, or what?
I think about, so as you know, like, having kids 13 years ago, 12 years ago. And, our scene here, we have a farm here. We have just a ton always going on. And so I just travel.
Hear you.
Hardly at all. And I think about lots of things. Like I think about bluefish and striped bass. I love flats fishing. I think redfish are super cool. I rarely go and do anything like that. But I am more of definitely more of a fly fisherman than a steelhead fisherman.
Okay.
Like I love steelhead. They're super cool. But like, Ryan, who you mentioned, like whether it's tarpon or yellowfin tuna, he's kind of like, it's not a steelhead.
Yeah. Well, being a steelheader in Northern California, I mean, I daydream about being on the OP a lot, right? And I was going to ask you where someone like you daydreams best. It's because you're in like the mecca of steelhead, but it sounds like I just got the answer to that one. And I mean, we got cool stuff in Northern California that I don't even really take advantage of. Like, we got big striper and stuff, and that come up with Sacramento and a bunch of bass. I'm trying to. That's my goal this year, is to get into other stuff, because I myself just want to fish for steelhead, and
I was in the Sacramento Delta 3 years ago briefly, and was so into it. And I didn't, but like I was on the Delta, we were in boats, we were doing different stuff, and I saw a bunch of stripers, and I saw this, and I saw that. But one of the things that I thought was the coolest was just like those sloughs just absolutely plugged with spiny rays, like little sunfish, little whatever, like the dude with a 3-weight.
Yeah, have a blast.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm looking for those spots. I have one close to me that I haven't taken advantage of yet, and the river's all huge right now, so I can't do it. But when it falls back into shape, I'm going to be out there looking for all that stuff.
Yeah,
we got a good shad run here in Sacramento, and those are a lot of fun too. I spend summer fishing doing that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of like just pro fishing. And obviously I'm spoiled, right? Like I think one of the reasons I don't obsess over steelhead is that it's a 5-minute walk from my house to a really good hole.
Yeah, you're a little spoiled. Yeah.
And I have, every year there's like 10 places I want to fish for steelhead that I don't get to.
Yeah.
Because I was fishing every day and I just didn't get to those 10 places, but none of them are more than half an hour from my house.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
It's all kind of piled up there, huh?
It really is. Yeah, there's too much.
I mean, I've wanted to do an episode on the Olympic Peninsula since I started this a couple of years ago. And is it bad that we're talking about the place on a podcast? Like, I know I'm not going to get any specific about any spots or anything like that, but like in general, I feel like there's an air of protection about it. Like people don't like talking about it a whole lot.
Yeah, and I think it originally, when you first contacted me, I probably mentioned that I haven't done any media in like 12 or 15 years, just for that reason. And not without ample opportunity. But I don't think at this point, I don't think we're a secret. And right, everybody knows we're here. And I don't think this is going to change the dynamic of what's happening.
No, not at all. I don't have a huge listener base. I was going to joke, like, out of all, why pick this one to do?
I love the freaking name.
Oh, thank you, man.
And I love the fact that it doesn't have to be serious.
Oh no, that's it. That's not at all. Yeah, that's not my goal.
Yeah, and it's not my either. Like, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I'm just, I'm not concerned about that.
Okay, good.
There's certainly things that I could say that would be the wrong thing to say, so I won't.
I'm gonna like bleep you out right there, like you did say something though.
Oh, good.
So hey, I mentioned it a little while ago that I visited the OP one time. It was back in 2017, and I was totally a steelhead baby. I'm not a pro by any means, but it's been a few years now, and at the time I had just landed my first one, like on the fly, and I got laser focused on getting up there, and I convinced my uncle to go up with me, and we hired a guide that was a friend of a friend, and he took us down the Sol Duck River for a winter steelhead trip in February, I think, and it was beyond expectations. Like, I don't remember exactly how many we hooked, but it was like 10, and we landed like 4 or 5 of them, and one was like 10, 12, 15 pounds, something huge. And we saw wild fish coupled up on reds, and it was snowing. It was everything that I wanted it to be.
That is the whole package.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like that awesome day that we had like cursed me on every other river, or just set my expectations like way too high, So anyway, my one experience doesn't account for much, but like, how has the fishing changed in the last 10 years up there?
It's gotten worse. Yeah. We have lots of awesome days, but it has gotten worse. I'm actually going to change. Oh, you won't even know. I'm going to change venues here because I think I need to plug this device. But yeah, it's gotten worse, and we have plenty of good fish.
Oh, did I lose you, Jim? Jim, I can't hear you.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
There you are. You're back.
You're gonna get it.
It's not a problem. I can fix this.
Yeah, come on, man. It's forks. How well do you think this is going to work in forks?
I had my doubts.
Oh. Right?
Yeah.
Are we good?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're freaking great, right?
They were good. I got you loud and clear. You were just saying you still have awesome days.
Yeah, we still have awesome days. So I will tell you a story. It's an interesting steelhead story to me, is that, man, things got rough. So let's say this last winter was the winter of 25, 24, 23. Like in 2019, 2020, we've been seeing a steady decline down to where it got pretty freaking hard. We saw these regulation changes, and 2023 happened. And Matt,
I got you.
You got me? Okay.
Yep.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. 2023 and 2024. In 2023, in January, the fishing got so good nobody could believe it, and it stayed that good throughout the entire year. And the same thing happened almost at the same level in 2024. And 2023, we were like, is this the last best year ever? Like, and I really dove in. I was just like, I want to enjoy everything. I want to do everything, and fish everywhere and get the absolute most out of this.
Yeah.
And in case it was the last best year ever. And then 2024 happened, and it was virtually as good, only maybe the fish were bigger. And then this year just didn't happen that way at all. But we saw that not just here on the peninsula. We saw kind of really good hatchery returns. which are a good sign in December, and then really good returns of early January fish, which is a great sign. And then it just stopped. The fish just stopped coming, and it was a tough winter from there on out. And we caught fish, but the numbers were just down. A lot of people tried to attribute that to the weather. We had, crazy cold, dry weather.
Okay.
But it wasn't just here. It was the Skagit. It was the Cowlitz. It was, all of coastal Washington.
Yeah.
It was an ocean condition, whatever it was, because it affected everybody kind of equally. And then so far now, our early spring Chinook numbers are way up above what I would have thought they would be. So the rivers or Salt Duck reopens, here in a couple weeks. And I think with salmon and steelhead runs wherever you are now, whether you're on the Kenai or the Kasilof or, the Sacramento, you just don't know until you go.
Yeah.
And then it is what you get.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do more than that.
So is there, I don't want to I'm getting into the weeds, but is there some kind of like a predictable cycle, like of amount of years where like they're getting like bigger numbers, like every 3-5 years or something like that?
No.
Yeah.
How was that? That was concise.
It's good. To the point. I was going to ask if you could like have any idea of what's in store for the future, but you kind of don't know. It's based on so many variables, I guess.
Based on a lot of variables. I think it's based on, if we want to see any sort of recovery of native steelhead, like broad-based recovery, and if that's a possible thing, given the ocean conditions, right? Because they need that ocean to do certain things, and we cannot control the ocean,
Yeah.
We want to see that. I think we need to get a little more creative and a little more tolerant and a little more honest and be willing to confront some stuff that for the most part we like to not confront, I think.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's good. I hope it's good things for you.
No, man, it's great things for me. And I think here's the thing. It's wherever you're steelhead fishing or salmon fishing or whatever, but steelhead and salmon fishing, I think the thing to do is to like go and enjoy it, and bust your ass for a really cool fish and experience that. And I have clients that have, in the last 4 or 5 years gone red fishing down in the Gulf and come back and been like, oh man, I don't know. It was too easy. I caught fish all day long. and I was like, dude, here's the deal. In the good old days, right? You just saw it. You just saw the good old days. I don't care if you're stripers on the East Coast, redfish in the Gulf, what you are. It's never great for 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So go do it when it's good. Whatever it is you're doing, go do it when it's good and enjoy it and keep catching them.
Yeah. But the steelheader in you does crave the punishment. And when you don't get that punishment, you're like, what's wrong with this picture? This is too fun. There's too many fish here.
I am totally capable of enjoying that moment.
Me too. Me too, man. So, okay. Just a little technical question, because I'm curious about the rods and line setups and stuff that you prefer. On my trip on the Soul Deck, we nymphed all day, and it was a wild setup to me at the time. It was like,
we're sorry, this information has been removed to protect all parties involved. It's really none of your business anyways, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I had never used a rig like that before or ever since. So I'm just curious, like, what kind of stuff you guys do on your...
Arius, is you could tell me, and don't, but you could tell me 2 other things about that leader, and I could tell you whose boat you were in.
Oh, really? You want to play the game? I'll be honest. Yeah.
At least, if not, at least who you booked through, if not exactly whose boat.
Okay. And I had a great time, so there's nothing negative to say about it. So.
No, I'm just saying that one of the coolest things about guiding is like indicate like a rig, right? Like a rig, like you just know a guy's rig, right? You see it hanging in a tree,
Sure.
You know who that is.
Yeah, and to their credit too, I was new, and I was worried that they would want me to like fish a 2-handed rod, and I had never done that. And I told them like I would be more comfortable, nymphing for the day. They're like, all right. So that's what they set me up with.
Yeah, man. No, it's a good rig, right? Like
they caught us a bunch of fish. Yeah.
Ah, man. Like here's here's the thing, right? Like the fly has to do a certain thing to catch the fish. And if the rig, if you're able to make the rig, make the fly do the thing, then it's a good rig.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing.
So who did you want to take a guess? Do you know whose service I booked through?
Yeah. Was it?
It sure was.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But don't put that in there, right? You
Okay.
gotta. That can't be.
I'll bleep it out for you. Why?
Well,
Is that top secret info?
It's not top secret, but I don't want to bend his nose.
You're right. That's not good. I will take that out. I'll make a note.
Yeah, that part I can't do that. But
if I can leave the details out and then say you guessed it right, so I can show that you guessed it right, that's okay.
That's absolutely okay.
Okay, because that was great.
Like, here's the thing, man. Like, there's stuff, right? There's stuff that's such, and this is the thing about guiding. Oh man, there's stuff that people know, that guides know, around the country, right? And maybe you get wind of it and like you're like, oh, that's a really cool thing. That dude's got this thing figured out, and you incorporate that piece of stuff into your rig, and then somebody will be like, hey, tell me about that rig, man. Like, what's going on there? And I'm like, I can't tell you about that because that's not mine. Like, I'll tell you about all the parts that are mine.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you about somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
That's for them to tell or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think that's the cool things. Like, imagine an industry. Like, imagine if electricians didn't share what they knew about electricity.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
it'd be nowhere.
Yeah, man. That rig, man, it got my brain going big time when I got home. I'm like, what? Like, I remember just going over it, trying to recreate it on my river in a way that would make sense, because it's obviously completely different and didn't really do anything, and just it stuck in my head. I remembered it all till now. It was a long time ago.
One of the things an indicator does is it anchors your mend.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crucially important. And so the heavier your line is, the more anchor you need.
Yeah,
right.
True. Yeah.
And there's a variety of, or like if you've got a lot of line out and you're trying to throw a really long mend, right, you need more anchor. Right. And so, like, we used to tie these giant yarn indicators, right? Yeah. Because the bottom would be soaking wet, right? They're sitting in the water.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you go to anchor, it's too heavy. It won't lift out. It anchors more line better. The shape of the indicator is going to push water at a different speed. How the line travels through the indicator, as you found out, right, is going to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it goes the same with the spay fishing and the two-handed rods. Like, the rigging was crucial.
Yeah.
Right. Because salmon and steelhead here, more than anywhere else that I fish for them, they don't like to be screwed with. Right. You might only get 3 casts at a fish. Right. And if you screw up the first one, you might not need to make any more.
Right. Yeah.
Your gear isn't right and it doesn't allow the fly to do the right thing the first time, then you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah.
So that rigging stuff is cool. And cool that it's so secret, and it's cool that it's, like, man, there was an indicator idea that I shared that I was talking about with some friends a few years ago. And everybody's like, why does nobody make one like that? That's such an obvious win. Right.
Yeah.
And just this year I saw one hanging on a peg, and I was like, my God, somebody's doing it, but nobody knows it's good yet. Right. Like, nobody's really fished with it enough to know what it's going to do when they get it out. And so maybe nobody will ever figure it out.
Yeah, those things catch word of mouth eventually, right? Like the Jadicator is the big one in our neck of the woods that everybody.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But some things don't, right? Like Airflow had that Miracle Braid running line, which was a little bit rough on your fingers. But the 30-pound Miracle Braid was the greatest spay running line like ever built, ever, and nobody could sell it, and it went away. And then, like, got in fist fights to get the last spool of it. the 9 guys who fished with it enough to realize what it did that other things didn't do, but they won't tell anybody what it does.
Yeah.
Because then everybody will know.
Yeah. I just started geeking out on that aspect of my setup and trying a bunch of different running lines and stuff. And I ended up with it's like it's the Rio line that's more like just a thin fly line. I can't remember what it's called now anymore. But I mean, my river, I mostly fish here on the Lower American River and other Northern California rivers that aren't super big. And I don't need to make 100-foot casts and stuff, you know? So like, I don't need this super slick running line. It's fine. And I handle it better, come and find out. But that's been it. Yeah. All those little things are so crucial. Like I can only imagine finally finding the one and then it just disappearing. Yeah.
That's always great.
So without spilling all the secrets, which I appreciate you telling me to cut that stuff out. Sometimes I don't think about that. I might have left it in. Like what could you tell me about the kind of rigs that you have your guests fishing, or is it based on them?
Well, obviously, yeah, to some degree it's based on them. Let's see what this one does. Having this still trying to get me charging. It is to a large degree based on them. You know, if they want a one-hand fish, they want a spay fish, you know, a really cool thing that you can do that nobody does is you can swing flies from the boat, you know, on a one-hander, right? That was the traditional way of fishing here. Yeah, man, that was the traditional. I mean, people talk about traditional fly fishing. That was the thing here is you cast a sink tip with a one-hander from a boat, you know, and that's a really cool way of doing it. But I'll fish indicator rigs. I got a bunch of different indicator rigs. The one thing that I'm really into is if I'm spay fishing anymore, I've fully adapted the super short heads.
Okay. Yeah.
The compacts.
Sure.
And that's a whole interesting thing to me. You know, there was spay fishing, right? And guys on the Skagit were like, this spay fishing thing is cool, but it doesn't work here. And we need our own lines. And that became Skagit lines, you know?
Yeah.
And then some of those very same guys came out here, you know, when the Skagit started to get short season. And they were like, yeah, man, we really like this Skagit fishing thing, but it doesn't work here. And we need different lines, you know, and like a whole nother fly line evolved for this, you know, which I think if you start to really think about that, you know, like it tells you a lot about the fishery, right? That it's different enough from the Skagit that the guys who were into starting Skagit style spay fishing were like, yeah, we got to switch it.
Yeah, we got to make this work. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
So what do you prefer? Like, if you had your choice, what do you like doing the most on a guided trip?
Crazy if I didn't get to do everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what it is for me. Is I, you know, if guys learn, you know, kind of let themselves go and like learn to indicator fish, you know, and learn what that means, you know, indicator fishing from a boat, learn what that really means and really get into it and learn to see that for what it can be, you know, it's real cool and it's super fun. And then if people, you know, want to like get in there and really, really spend a couple days, you know, digging around with spay rods, that's a whole different thing. And then I do a lot of cast and strip fishing other times of the year for salmon from the boat where we're casting and stripping flies. I do a lot of dry fly fishing for trout. I do a fair amount of dry fly fishing for steelhead. I do some topwater fishing for coho, right? And so that's what I like. I like to be doing everything.
Cool.
You know? And I like it when I'm skating a big stimulator for coastal cutthroat and spring chinook comes up and tries to eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally, man.
What that does to your picture of the fishery, right? I love it when a winter head comes up and crushes my indicator, you know, like just eats the float and won't let it go. You're like, all right, there's other things we can be doing here, you know? And so, yeah, that's what I'm at.
So I take it, well, can you fish from a boat right now up there? Am I wrong? Or was there a period of time where you couldn't fish from the boat?
Yeah, we had a winter closure on fishing from the boat, like just blanket closure. Can't fish from. And I will say, you know, for me, it didn't affect it. It was supposed to reduce how many fish we hooked, you know, the encounter rate. For me, it had little or no impact on that. We just fished different and we caught as many fish, you know, a little while to adjust. And I think for most people, and in some cases, some people realized they could hook way more by getting out of the boat and really putting some time in. But currently we can't, and even then we could fish from the boat the rest of the season. Currently we can fish from the boat almost everywhere most of the time. So that's what's going on. There still are some no fishing from the boat sections, in the winter for native winter steelhead. But the rest of the year, we're in the boat if we want to be and out of the boat if we want to be.
Cool. Yeah. Well, this is supposed to be a fly tying podcast, and so I have a couple fly tying questions for you. I understand from reading your bio that you have a couple signature patterns, but I don't think I'm familiar with them. Like, what are a few of your patterns that you fish a bunch on the OP up there?
Well, this is not going to make it easy because there are some patterns that I have tied that have gotten some press coverage or whatever, as things will if you fish with the people that are writing the articles. But I would say for me, this makes it difficult. What I love tying with bucktail.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of a lost thing. And if you look through my blog, you'll see some little like beadhead bucktail flies. One of the flies that some of my friends over the years have given me a lot of crap about is, I call it a Mickey fin, because it's just a steelhead Mickey fin tied entirely out of bucktail, like the original, just dressed up a little bit. I have some interesting, to me, caddis pupa flies. I think if you look at Harry Lemire's fall caddis, is that one you're familiar with?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That guy really had the whole caddis thing dialed. And what's interesting to me is that if you take a caddis pupa design, I fish here's one I'll just get. This is a freebie, and this is a weird thing, and then you can have a weird fly. But I'll take a little Gamakatsu, like a number 4 or number 6 octopus, right? And I'll put a little tungsten bead on there, brass, and then I'll tie a basic generic caddis pupa on that thing.
Okay.
And tie it on with a loop knot, a small loop. And of course it sinks like a rock because there's no material. It's just a
bead. Yeah.
And let it sink down in the fish, whether they be summer steelhead or summer or fall salmon. And this little teeny thing. And then just fish it on short, erratic hops on a retrieve. And this fly does something entirely wrong, right? Because one of the things a fly is not supposed to do is roll.
Okay.
Or spin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of the offset in that octopus hook,
give
it a good jerk, and it'll do a full 360 occasionally. And what's even funnier is if on a long retrieve, after it's done like 10 of those, it unwind while it's sinking.
Oh, why? When you stop, it just goes the other way.
It was the other freaking way. And I watched kings and coho and summer runs get after that thing and chase it 20, 25 feet and bite it 3, 4, 5 times before it got stuck in their mouth.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's doing a lot of things wrong for a fly, but I think, I don't fish. There's maybe 3 salmon and steelhead patterns that I can buy in a fly shop that I fish.
Okay. Yeah.
And I maybe have 40 flies in my fly box or in my bag most days, you know what I mean? Different flies. And so, like, most of what I want to fish is not out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not available in bins, so you've got to tie it. And I'm going to tie a fly. I very often will tie a fly for a specific spot.
Yeah.
In other words, like, there's a tail out that I really like, and there's a deep spot in the tail out, and there's a rock in the deep spot in the tail out, and it's a little deeper on the left side of the rock, and the current's just so there. And like, this is the fly I want for there at this water level, right? The sink just right. It's going to swim just right in the current, right? In the amount of current that's going to be there, right? So I get that tweaky with it,
You mentioned stripping for salmon. Like, are you stripping topwater stuff? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
No, that's crazy because my buddy JD, who guides in Alaska, sometimes posts videos where he's pulling topwater plugs for kings and stuff out there, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people fish that way.
No, it's really silly because what we do with salmon and steelhead is we fish real hard until we catch one, and then all that matters is catching another one, right? And we don't try, and like, at a certain point, you got to be like, yeah, cool, I've caught enough like this. I want to see it get different, right?
Yeah.
Like a bass fisherman putting on a topwater plug, right? Okay, cool, I've caught enough on the worm. I want to catch him on the topwater bait. So that's how I feel about it, right? I want to mix it up. I want to try different stuff. I want to see what the fish will do. Good. And there's a bunch of things they'll do, man, that they're not supposed to do, but there they are doing it. You know,
yeah, that stuff's super cool, dude.
There they are doing it, and there they are doing it again and again and again. And wait a minute, this is working way better than what I was doing.
Yeah, they like it. Yeah,
they like it more than all the you're supposed to do. You know.
Yeah, I was snooping around your blog doing show prep. And,
yeah, good for you.
And you mentioned a food source for fish in the salt that I don't think I had ever heard before. Barnacle spawn, which sounds like a punk band to me. Is there a fly pattern to mimic barnacle spawn?
Barnacle and crab spawn. Nah, I don't think you can because, you know, it's tiny, but it's in clouds.
Okay.
You know,
all right. Yeah.
Full of clouds of it, right? But they're eating it. You know what I mean? You can see them eating it, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah. I paid way too much for a tin of gooseneck barnacles one time, and they were delicious. So I guess that's why fish want them too. I mean, I recommend that at least once if you like tinned fish and sardines and stuff, like a very special occasion, expensive tin.
I really do, but you know, they grow all over the beach here.
Yeah, can you forage them there?
You can. I think the limit is 10 pounds.
Hell yeah, man. They're good.
Which is like 7 years worth.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot. That's so pricey by the pound too. I want to say the can that I bought was like $59 or something. You know?
Yeah, I believe it.
It was a special occasion and it was good.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
All right, a couple non-fishing questions for you before we wrap this up, Jim. I wanted to see because Forks is kind of a tough place to get to. I mean, not really, but there's some obstacles, like you have to take a ferry and things like that. Is there if for someone planning a trip to the OP, anything that you could recommend, lodging wise, food, anything like that?
Well, if you say the OP, that's one thing. If you say Forks, that's quite another.
Okay. They're going to Forks, right?
Yeah, if they're going to Forks, first off, you know, there's simply no way to avoid saying that you have to call Aaron O'Leary at Angler's Obsession and talk to his wife, Reve, about lodging.
Okay.
And if you haven't done that, you're weak-minded. So there's that. There's also like 440 Airbnbs within a Frisbee throw from Forks. So there's that. If you've got some spare ducats and you want to do it easy and different, and you can take the shuttle flight from SeaTac to Port Angeles and rent a car in Port Angeles, that avoids
a long part of that trek, huh?
But probably going to rack you an extra $400.
Yeah.
But the rental car is way cheaper. There's no security flying in and out of Port Angeles, you know, to speak of. The rental car is like, you know, there's no lines, there's no nothing. So that's pretty epic. Plan to spend some days, man. Plan to spend some days. Don't come for a day or two. Come for, you know, 6, 7, 8, if you can, if it's in the budget, you know. You don't have to be guided that whole time, of course, you know, but spend some time. You know, I think that's crucial if you're going to do it. It's hard to do it in a short little window. And I think I have so many friends that have guided here for years, but they only guide for winter steelhead.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never seen it in the summer, right? They've never seen it with leaves on the trees. They've never seen it when the roads are dusty, you know?
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool too, man.
Yeah. That is cool. I also wanted to ask you if you've had any close calls with wildlife out there guiding, like big cats or anything like that.
Not on the river. I've been fortunate enough to have some really cool encounters with cougars, and one at a particularly close range, and actually two that were quite close. And I've been really lucky, but that's all because I spend a lot of time in the woods hunting. And on the river, you will see, there's some spots where you'll always see cougar tracks and you'll always see cougar sign. But, you know, you can count on the fact that they'll watch you, but you won't see them.
That's what you hear, yeah.
Yeah. And then as far as bears go, our bears tend to be pretty docile. We did have like a overgrown bear cub. And again, this is probably 25 years on the river. I have had one experience with a bear where it really wanted our sandwich real bad.
Oh yeah.
But it was deterrable. You know what I mean? But at no point did we want a firearm or anything. It was like, poor guy, starving for a sandwich, you know?
Was it a good sandwich?
No, it was not a particularly interesting sandwich at all.
Right.
I mean, the bear was hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about your time hunting helped you in your cougar encounters there? I'm curious.
I might you what I might not have totally understood that question.
Like you had close encounters with cougars,
Mhm.
like, but nothing happened to you. Like, were they just like, were you in a good position or something? Like, or
The one did actively stalk me.
oh wow, okay,
And because I don't and that one was pretty keyed up. And I was at the time I was pretty young, and everyone should feel free to like laugh about this forever, but like it was approaching me aggressively, and I was like, I can take a cougar.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean absolutely seriously. Like that was what was in my head. I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And which is ridiculous, obviously. Devoured me and shit me out a week later. But anyway, like at the time, that's what was in my head. But once it left, once it gave up, you know, I stayed. I didn't give it a chance. You know what I mean? I stayed big, and I you know, spoke to it. You know, not aggressively, but you know, and I was armed. I could have shot it, which was which would have been totally legal, right? Like they you know applauded, and I didn't want to. But what did make me nervous is when that went back into the brush and I couldn't see it anymore, and then all of a sudden I realized that it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
You're in the dark, and that thing, you know, is somewhat interested in me, and that's what, you know. But
we don't have a whole lot of those where I'm at. I mean, I guess there's bobcats and stuff, and there's some mountain lions up in the up towards Lake Tahoe and stuff like that. But like fishing, like the McCloud River and stuff up there, like you always hear and see signs of them and stuff like that, and it's terrifying if I'm going to be honest.
Well,
I wouldn't have had the same reaction as you.
Well, I don't have that reaction now, you know. Like that was 25-year-old me or 23-year-old me.
Well, it worked.
It worked fine. I think one of the keys, don't be small.
Yeah, okay.
Try to make like you want to weigh in excess of 170, and if you're really worried about cougars and you don't, then you know, grab a pint of Ben and Jerry's, start working on it.
Yeah, there you go.
And get a little serious about putting on some lbs, and maybe you'll be all right.
Yeah, good. That's good advice.
Yeah,
I try to have ice cream every night. to be honest.
Yeah. and in that light, it's probably making you healthier, right?
Yeah, that's what I gotta keep saying.
Yeah.
So I have one more question that I ask all my guests, and sometimes I get a good answer, and sometimes I get absolutely nothing. But have you ever had a paranormal or supernatural experience? I mean, it could be anything. That covers it's a wide net.
Yeah. See, most of the time.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on all the time, from my perspective. Right.
Just where you live, or you mean everywhere?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
That's unbelievably awesome. And like unrecognized if you don't just take a minute to be like, holy shit, this whole deal is incredible. This whole deal is so freaking awesome. And not to go too far with this, but like so precious and so short and like so fantastic. And forgetting to like appreciate that and acknowledge that is missing out on the best parts, right?
God, man, that is it's not at all the answer that I've expected, but it is almost dead on to this quote that I found the other day. And man, I am so not a quotes guy. Like I'm not that guy, but this one like really hit home for me for some reason. It's basically what you just said. It's the quote. I just pulled it up on my phone. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper.
Was that me? Did I say that?
That could be you.
Off my blog.
I forget who this is attributed to. When I started looking into who it was, there was a bunch of people that were trying to claim that one, and I don't know who to really attribute that quote to, but I really liked it, and maybe the first quote I could say that about.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, man, I got woken up to that as a kid, luckily. And lastly, I will say that when I was probably 25, I was sitting by a fire behind my broken cab over camper, eating probably ramen noodles and drinking cheap wine with a couple guys. And one of them was a guy by the name of Josh Dickinson, who is one of the absolute most true and honest outdoorsmen on the planet. and we were talking about elk hunting, and he looked at me, and we're 25, right? And he says, how many elk hunts do you think you have, right? Do you think you can get another 20? Do you think you'll get 30? Do you think you'll get 35? Does 35 sound like enough? It's like, you're not going to get enough, dude. Like, all the things that we get every year, right? Every fall salmon run, right? Like, how many fall salmon runs you get to see? Not very many, really. Really, if you get into it and you really enjoy it, right? Like, how many mayfly hatches are you going to see? How many big spring stonefly hatches are you going to see? Not a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to jump on them, and you got to bring friends if they'll come, and go by yourself if they won't. And don't worry about taking pictures. Just be there and do the thing. And that's awesome, and appreciate it.
Hell yeah. That's, man. How did you tie up my interview so well? How did you do that?
Oh, dude, I practiced that.
You practiced it.
Yeah, my kids are holding cue cards.
Oh man, dude, Jim, it's been a pleasure, dude.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
And if you're out this way, let me know.
God, you better believe it. I'm gonna make my way back up there soon. It's been almost 10 years now. I've been putting it off. So when I do, I'm gonna call you.
Thanks, man. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I'll be in touch. It takes me a while to put these episodes together.
Mm-hmm.
But once I have something, I'll hit you up. I'll show it to you, and I'll let you know when I'm setting it live and stuff.
Hey, I really appreciate you. I have not worked with a lot of media folks in a long time, but it's rare, or it used to be when I did, that a lot, struggled with integrity, and I don't think you do.
Oh.
And I think that's really cool, man. So
Thank
keep
you, man. Dude, thank you so much. I'm honored that you decided to come off the bench and do a little media.
All right, man.
Take it easy. All right, bye. That was one of my most favorite interviews so far. I learned a lot, laughed a lot. A duck became suicidal and tried to eat a tube fly during the interview. We endured some spotty Wi-Fi signals in parts, but that's what happens when you're on Zoom with someone in a remote part of the world. I really didn't need to get more stoked for Steelhead, but after talking to Jim, that's exactly what's happened. His passion for what he does is contagious. You can tell that he loves what he does and where he does it, and that to me is the epitome of the American dream. Being able to support a family by doing something that you love in a location that you also love. Kudos to Jim for busting his ass for years and cracking the code. I'll link to his guide service in the show notes, and if you ever make it up to Forks and don't hire Jim to show you around the amazing wild rivers that crisscross that town like a highway system in Los Angeles, then you're doing it wrong. We proved it today on this episode.
Just the facts, ma'am.
And I highly encourage any West Coast steelheader to put a trip to Forks together. It's worth the travel, and the whole OP is just breathtaking whether you catch the giant steelhead of your dreams or not. I can't wait to go back and see those rivers again and to do it with Jim next time. We're getting close to the end of the show now, but I'll share a couple more tidbits that I learned while doing research for this episode before I give you my usual content recommendation and sign off. This is cool. The one and only Sid Glasso showed up on the OP in the 1950s. He was a teacher in Forks, Washington, and was given a copy of a book on Atlantic salmon flies. He began tying classic married wing and whole feather wing Atlantic salmon flies, and he soon began experimenting with adapting spay flies for winter steelhead, since the book mentioned that they were used in fast water. This began the steelhead fly revolution. Because Forks was and still is pretty isolated, it isn't on the way to anywhere, you have to want to go there to get there. You'd never just pass through on the way to somewhere else. His experiments with spay flies were virtually unknown. This was a good thing because it allowed him to develop a very effective style of spay flies with tinted hackle tip wings and fluorescent materials that were muted with non-fluorescent spay hackle. These were radically different from what had come before, with their short and slim bodies composed of floss and dubbing, sparse, very mobile and long hackle, and short tinted hackle tip wings. So, besides for the fish and all the history of the waterways, Forks also birthed a style of flies that I'm sure a lot of listeners to this show are still tying today. Did you know that this is a fly tying podcast? And that I'm the host of it? So I think that's pretty cool. Or badass.
Is this guy the most badass human to ever live?
Jim and I talked a little bit about the runs of fish and how they've ebbed and flowed over the years due to the many variables that affect ocean run fish. So I was digging around and found a great article that I will link to in the show notes from Wild Steelheaders United, written by Jonathan Stump, using data gathered by a number of other fishy people, like John McMillan. These numbers kind of blew me away, so I thought I'd share. If we could only thumb a ride back to the good old days, but where and exactly when is the question. According to a new report published in the North American Journal of Fisheries Management on wild winter OP steelhead, co-authored by John McMillan of Trout Unlimited, Matthew Sloat of Wild Salmon Center, as well as Martin Learman and George Pess, both of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the answer is as clear as a glacial green Keats River. The year 1954. Using historical tribal and sport catch data, the authors estimated an average run size of almost 20,000 fish in the Keats from 1948 through 1960. But in 1954, they estimated just over 50,000 wild steelhead flooded the Keats, which was the peak estimate for the study. While peak calculations don't represent the average, to give that pinnacle number some context, take a look at the Skeena system, where a healthy modern-day run is considered about 30,000 fish, spread across the river's main stem and its crown jewel tributaries such as the Copper, Bulkley, Morris, Callum, Kispiox, and Sistut. The Skeena drains a mammoth 21,000 square mile basin. The Keats Basin, in comparison, measures 204 square miles. Additionally, that same year, commercial and sport fisheries harvested more than 5,000 wild Keats steelhead in the month of December, which is more fish than the river has returned in total in the most recent years. Nowadays, finding a fat pre-Christmas steelhead, whether it's from the Keats, Quinault, Hoh, or Killihoot rivers, is as rare as bumping into Sasquatch at Pacific Pizza in Forks. The fact that state managers closed Keats and Quinault sport fisheries last season due to rock-bottom fish forecasts exacerbate the low odds. This year the same goes, giving us even more reason to dream in reverse. As you fire up the DeLorean and rewind the decades between now and the 50s, the headlock loosens. Root causes of steelhead erosion, issues such as climate change, dams, hatchery programs, overfishing, heated political stalemates, rampant human development, wholesale deforestation, unchecked pollution, etc., are undone one by one. It's in part thanks to historical catch records from before these impacts that long-held beliefs around steelhead abundance and run timing are being re-examined and challenged. The multi-year joint agency project from McMillan and his colleagues could be the catalyst for using what we know now about the past to strike a new path forward. Are you a member of Wild Steelheaders United? No?
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Alright, the last thing that I'm going to share with you all is another content recommendation. I end all my episodes this way currently, and it might change in the future, but today I have a good one for you. I already told you about the T. Townsend Brown documentary and the Mirage Men movie. Both must-watch stuff if you wear a giant tinfoil fishing hat like me. This recommendation is in the same vein, I suppose, as it's on the woo-woo side of things, and I chose it for this episode mainly because of Jim's answer to my usual paranormal question. It's true that we are surrounded by supernatural things every day, whether we notice how awesome they are or not. By now, you may have heard of a podcast called The Telepathy Tapes by Kai Dickens. It's gotten a lot of press, and some bad press even for some reason. I don't get it because the message is so positive. The podcast, and hopefully soon a documentary, explores the possibility of telepathic communication in non-speaking individuals with autism. The series presents anecdotal evidence, interviews with experts, and proof-of-concept tests suggesting that some non-speaking individuals may possess telepathic abilities. If you're open-minded about this kind of topic, you're going to love it. And it's tough to deny even for skeptics, as the podcast provides pretty undeniable proof of telepathic communication through the first season of the show. It gets even more intense when you learn about a central location on the astral plane, or whatever you want to call it, where these non-verbal autistic folks meet and hang out together in their minds, like some kind of cosmic Zoom meeting. The only negative reviews from people that I've shared the show with have all been related to the parts that got into the religious aspects with some of the kids that were subjects of the episodes in Season 1. These kids speak of basically leaving their bodies in a remote viewing sense and interacting with what we would call non-human intelligence these days. A lot of the time, they refer to them as angels or even God. I know that once that comes into play, a lot of people turn it right off, and I'm not here to convert anyone, but I hope that you can keep your mind open enough to consider that there is a possibility they aren't dealing with God or angels in a biblical sense, literally. Maybe that's exactly what they're doing. That may just be necessary context that whoever they're dealing with needs to apply to the situation for them to properly communicate with us Earth-dwelling humans. Like a lot of UFO experiences, these things tend to match the culture of the experiencer, almost tailored experience. Who really knows what these beings are? Whatever they are, the kids who interact with them feel protected and loved and nurtured by them. So they don't seem like they're bad. Anyways, it's hard to deny what these kids are saying once you listen to the show, no matter what your own spiritual beliefs are. I feel like it helped me understand some things that I was confused about in that regard myself. Connected some dots, if you will. And the bottom line is there is solid proof that non-verbal autistic people have been wildly misunderstood for a long time. They aren't brain dead or vegetables or whatever archaic way we've looked at them for years. They are intelligent, sometimes incredibly intelligent, and have supernatural abilities in the way of telepathy and remote viewing and astral travel and who knows what else. That is what Kai Dickens and the telepathy tapes are out to prove, and it's amazing stuff. I believe it. But I believe almost anything, so please listen for yourself. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. Just like this one, you little bitch. See you next time.
Have you ever heard of swallowing a great length of string or a thin strip of fabric as a way to rid your guts of rotten turds? Well, you have now, and it's a thing that some people do. They swallow thin strips of cotton fabric or string that's up to 70 metric feet long. It can take several days for it to pass through your innards, but once it does, you'll be feeling real good. It's like wiping your butt all the way throughout your entire body. The fabric strips come out absolutely caked in muck, and it's a big hassle to deal with, but the more muck you've got on the fabric and on your hands and under your fingernails after gently pulling the fabric out of your anus means the less poison diarrhea you've got stuck in your colon. It's so good for you. I do it at least once a month and I feel so strong and empty after each session. You will too if you try the new Vital Elements internal poop sopping cloth. This organic dye-free cotton strip will sop and mop up all of your interior gravy, leaving your innards as clean as a whistle. Just slowly swallow the cloth as you're watching your favorite snuff film and let your body do the rest. It may take a few days for the entire length of fabric to pass through you, but that's good. You want to take your time with this. Slow and low, Texas BBQ style. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the 2 or 3 days you'll spend carefully winding up the slop-covered fabric as it issues forth from your quivering anal hole. You might think that you can use any old cloth for this, but you're wrong. If you use a bad cloth, you will die. So please, trust the professionals at Vital Elements. This is your bowel health we're talking about. This is not the time to cut corners or go with the cheapest option. Start wiping out your insides with the Vital Elements internal poop sopping cloth today. You should be able to buy it online or in stores. Does Vital Element have brick and mortar stores yet? No? Okay. Just buy it online then. Send cash or check or money order to the website and buy it. I think you can buy it directly from the Secret Society of Fly Tires web store too. In fact, I think all of the Vital Elements products that I've talked about this season are available at the SSFT web store. I probably should have mentioned that before. Oh well, whatever, you'll figure it out. Just start wiping your innards today.
Please note that this is not a real advertisement, and the company, brand, entity, or product mentioned in the preceding ad in no way endorses, agrees with, or knows about this podcast.